Okay, so the first thing I'm going to go over here is 3-point perspective. And this is in reference to Drawing 2 project and to create sketches for the Drawing 2 project. So what I'm going to do is I drew out a 5 by 7 inch frame here. So it's 7 inches long, 5 inches wide. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw in a horizon line, which is going to be towards the bottom portion of the drawing. I usually go about a third of the way up. I'm just going to throw a line in here, just like so. That's going to represent the horizon line. I'm going to put a vanishing point outside of my border about right here. I'm going to put another vanishing point outside my border about right there. Doesn't matter, just as long as it's outside. The reason why we do that, because we can utilize more of the space here when the vanishing points are further out. The other vanishing point I'm going to put up here at, actually I put it up here at the top. So there's 3 vanishing points, hence 3-point perspective. First thing I'm going to do is, when you're drawing a 3-point perspective, you want to draw the corner of a box that's closest to you. So you would draw that line of a corner of a cube or a box that's closest towards you. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put my ruler and line it up with this point, and it doesn't matter anywhere. I could angle it this way, this way, this way, or this way to draw that first line. So I'm just going to throw a line right here, like so. Next thing I'm going to do is just put a point here, put a point here. That just designates where the beginning, the top of this, the end and the beginning of that line. And it will help me connect these 2 points. Another little trick here I could show you is if you put the point of your pencil here, run your ruler into that point, and then you can angle your ruler to the next point. It just makes things a little faster. So you'll kind of see me do this pretty quickly. So I connect those 2 points to the right vanishing point, call that RVP. This one is the left vanishing point. I'm going to connect these 2 points to the left vanishing point as well. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, just going to fill that in there, end one of these planes, or both of these planes. So I could find the end of a plane wherever I want to place it. So this is a plane that continues on forever, infinitely, until it reaches the vanishing point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I'll put a dot right here, and I'll put a dot right here, and that's where I feel like ending this vanishing point. Or I'm sorry, ending the cube itself. So what I just did there, from that point I drew in, I connected my ruler to that third vanishing point up top. I lined it up with that point, and then I just drew a line dissecting these 2 lines there and ending that plane. I'm going to do the same thing here. I put a little point here, connect these 2 points, follow through the form, and then I have that there. Next thing I'm going to do, where this intersects this line, I'm going to put a dot. Where this line intersects that line, I'm also going to put a dot. It's just helpful for me to connect this point to the right vanishing point, because now I'm drawing the bottom of this form. Okay, and I connect it to the right vanishing point, like so. I take this guy, I connect it to the left vanishing point, like so. Now if you see where these 2 lines meet right there, I'm going to put another dot, because I want to draw this as if it's transparent. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect that back dot, because it's parallel to these 3 lines, and parallel lines converge to the same vanishing point. That vanishing point is the third vanishing point at the top. So I'm going to take this point, connect it to the top line, draw a line straight up. Okay? That line will end around here somewhere. I just continued it on so you would see where it would go. I can take this far corner here, because I want to draw the interior line, and it does something like this, which is parallel to this line, this line, and this line, and they all go to the right vanishing point, so that line will go to the right vanishing point. And when I say parallel, I mean parallel. If this was a real object in 3 dimensions, we're creating an illusion in 2 dimensions, so they're not parallel on paper, but in theory or in reality they are. And then I connect this far right corner to the left vanishing point, and they all should meet right at the same point. They miss slightly, but that's just because of subtle human error. But they meet right there, and that's the back of the box. So, let's step away for a second. What you can do is use this little eraser pencil if you want to erase some of these lines so you don't confuse yourself and you understand what they actually do, and then you can start to see the form itself. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to darken this corner so it pulls forward. It's called atmospheric perspective. So this corner pulls forward and this corner recedes. Otherwise they compete. They both pull forward, and then you start to play with your eyes and you're not sure what's what. Now, when you're developing your compositions, I recommend you do exactly not what I just did. I just put a large form in the center of this big space. I recommend maybe starting over to the right side, starting to move over to the left side. When you do something like this, it forces you just to kind of put things around it, and then you have this kind of symmetrical, difficult composition beginning to develop. And it is much easier if you take things out from the center point and then start to develop your composition. But I'm just kind of showing you how to use three-point perspective and how to start this project. So the next thing you would do is you want to throw another cube in there. What I'm going to do is maybe put one down here. So I'm just going to, again, start another line. And I'm going to overlap this cube with this cube, or rectangle. It's not really a cube. But this is where you really have to start to pay attention, because there's a lot of lines and you really have to focus and see what you're actually drawing and not confuse it with the other form. So what I'm going to do is, once again, I drew that straight line, and I'm going to connect those 2 points to the left vanishing point. I connect those 2 points to the right vanishing point. Now I'm sorry if my camera is shaking. I had to do a makeshift video studio in my own studio, and the table is a little wobbly, so bear with me. What I'm going to do is right around here, I feel like ending this cube. If you can see it, I will have to erase some lines so you can kind of see what I'm drawing, and then I'm going to end it right here. And it's going to go outside of the border. I want you to utilize the border, let the border play a role within your composition where it crops off forms, and it just kind of crops off the form right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to erase, because otherwise these lines get too confusing and can drive you crazy. So what I'm going to do is just erase everything that is inside of this cube, the new cube that I'm drawing. When you erase, you don't fully erase. It's just you're lightening those lines enough where you can kind of see what you're doing. I'm also going to erase the horizon line, because I went over the horizon line. And some of you, because we didn't go over this in class, you can go over the horizon line, and it looks like this is actually on top of the horizon line itself. That's fine. These are just floating cubes in space. Now, what I'm going to do is draw this cube as if it's transparent, but right now it looks like this cube is in front of that cube. And if you erase it a little bit more clearly, and then put those lines back in, that illusion I'm trying to make will be more clear. So there's that. Now I'm going to make this transparent. Take what was I going to do? Take this corner here, run it to the right vanishing point, and it might be a different system than the last of what I showed you, but as long as there's only 3 more lines I have to put in, so I take this back further corner and I bring it to the right vanishing point, because those lines are parallel. I take this far right hand corner, connect it to the left vanishing point. I'm going to stop it right where it meets the line I put in, because that's the back line, which is parallel to these 3. What I didn't do, I'm going to draw this cube as if it goes outside of the border, and then I'll erase what I don't need later on, but it's going to help me. So I needed to find out where these 2 lines meet, and then I can run it over to the left vanishing point. And you see where these 2 meet right there? These 2 points you can connect, but hopefully they all should meet up to that third vanishing point, and they basically do. It's slightly off, but it's not a big deal. So that's the back line, or the back corner to all this stuff. So now you can kind of see that this is in front of that. What I'll do next here is I'll just kind of throw one more cube in, maybe something smaller, because these kind of look similar, maybe something thin. I don't know. What I'm going to do is just, actually I'll put a line in here, just like so. So this is how big my first original line is going to be. It's just going to be a kind of like a long cube down at the base, connected to the left vanishing point, again to the left vanishing point, connected to the right vanishing point, connected to the right vanishing point. Now with this one, I said at least have 10 rectangles on this little composition. So just keep adding them on and work big to small. You can put little tiny ones in. You can figure out how to wedge them together, or you can slice up these rectangles. Like I could divide this in half and take the middle out. There's a lot of things I can do, and we'll get that into the next stage of this project. But you can kind of see what I did here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to end it about right here, and end it about maybe right here. So I'm going to take that point, connect to this point, draw a line down. Take that point, connect to this point, the third point, draw a line down. I take these two guys, go over to the left side, line over. I take this far corner, take it to the right side, which is the right vanishing point, and I go over. I only need to stop it right where they meet, which is right here. If I want to make this transparent, I can, but before I go for that, I'm going to erase everything that's within the 3 planes I just drew of that cube, or I'm sorry, rectangle, and it will help me understand what the heck I'm looking at, because it can get, again, very confusing. The line weight is helpful in this project, so you can kind of understand what you're doing. So you get a better sense of what that cube looks like now that I drew it in. I don't have to make that transparent, but if I wanted to, I could just drop this line down here. Third point perspective line, just drop that down there. I take the left corner here, I connect it to the right vanishing point right there. Then I go this way. When it hits that point, that's where it ends. I take this far corner here, I bring it to the left vanishing point there, and they should all meet together, which they do. And then that's the transparent part of that form. Now you can kind of see this is pulling forward, this is in the middle, and this is farther away because they're overlapping. It's another way of creating spatial depth. But as you're developing your composition, I want you to activate this space, also the entire space. What you can't do, and you'll learn this later probably, but anything on the outside of these 2 points, anything here, you cannot activate. That's why I ask you to put your vanishing points outside of the composition far enough so you can utilize as much of the composition you can. Again, anything from these 2 points, anything on this side of it, you cannot activate. There is a way, and I can show you in class, but as of now, you can't activate. But if you do want to, what you would do is you turn your paper around this way, you use this as your horizon line, and then that's your third point, but that might confuse you, and I don't want to get too far ahead.